They told you to pray louder, hustle harder, and think more positively. But what if that's exactly what's blocking your power? What if God isn't in the noise, but in the silence you've been avoiding your whole life? Sounds crazy, right? But think about it. Has all that effort actually brought you peace, clarity, or true manifestation? Or are you just spinning your wheels, exhausted, waiting for life to finally click? Here's the truth they don't want you to know. Stillness isn't weakness. It's pure, raw power. In silence, your mind stops reacting, your energy aligns, and the real you finally shows up. Not the version that's overthinking, but the one that creates. That's where God lives, not in the chaos, not in the noise, but in the quiet space where thoughts disappear and awareness takes over. If you've been trying everything and still feel stuck, this will flip your reality. Because once you understand this hidden key, life starts working for you, and fast. 1. God is silence, the true source of power. People spend their whole lives searching for power in titles, money, and influence, yet the greatest force is hidden in silence. When the mind is still, an untapped power emerges, one that doesn't rely on external validation. Eliodiana teaches that God is silence, and those who master it gain control over reality itself. History proves this truth. The greatest minds, from Tesla to Da Vinci, accessed ideas not through noise, but through deep stillness. True wisdom doesn't shout, it whispers. Most people are afraid of silence because it forces them to face themselves. They fill every moment with distractions, avoiding the very thing that could transform them. But in silence, clarity sharpens like a blade. The chaos of the world loses its grip, and a sense of inner authority takes its place. Imagine a man who walks into a room without saying a word, yet commands attention. His presence is his power, and that presence is cultivated in stillness. If silence is where power resides, how does one tap into it? It starts with simple but deliberate choices: waking up before the world, sitting in stillness, or walking without a phone. Even 5 minutes of daily silence rewires the mind, creating space for intuition to rise. The world may scream that action is king, but in truth, the most powerful people move the least. They don't rush, they don't react, they listen. Once silence becomes a habit, reality bends in ways that seem almost supernatural. Ideas flow effortlessly, synchronicities multiply, and problems dissolve before they even manifest. Why? Because stillness aligns you with the creative force itself. The man who masters silence doesn't beg for power, he becomes it. And once you understand this, you'll start noticing how noise is used to keep you trapped in the illusion of separation. 2. The illusion of separation. How noise keeps you trapped. The mind loves to stay busy. It runs non-stop, creating stories, judgments, fears, and that constant mental noise is what builds the illusion of separation. You start to believe you're cut off from others, from your goals, from God himself. But you're not. You're simply buried under layers of thoughts. Silence isn't just peaceful, it's a demolition tool that tears down the walls the mind keeps building. Look around. Everything in society is designed to keep you distracted. Notifications, headlines, conversations about nothing. It's all noise. Why? Because a silent mind is dangerous to the system. A man who stops reacting starts seeing. He sees that the fight was never real, that the enemy was only in his own head. When you unplug from the circus, you start living on your own terms. That's real freedom. You've probably felt it before, those rare moments when everything gets quiet and time seems to slow down. Maybe it was out in nature or during a late-night drive. In that silence, something opens. That something is your connection to truth. Try this. Spend 1 hour without speaking, without scrolling, without input. Just breathe and observe. Notice how your sense of separation starts to fade. Silence reconnects what noise had divided, and when that illusion begins to crack, a strange thing happens. You stop needing so much. You stop chasing approval, control, or even certainty. You just are. And in that state, you don't feel separate anymore. You remember who you are. That's when something else kicks in. A quiet force that begins to watch it all without getting pulled in. 3. The silent observer, becoming the master of your reality. Most people are stuck in reaction mode, jumping from emotion to emotion like leaves blown by the wind. One bad comment ruins their whole day. One bill throws them into panic. But there's another way to live, by becoming the silent observer. This isn't some spiritual cliché. It's a practice, and it's powerful. When you learn to observe your thoughts instead of being dragged by them, you step into your real identity. Think about it. Have you ever caught yourself mid-spiral, suddenly realizing, wait, why am I freaking out? That's the observer waking up. It's the part of you that watches without judgment. When you live from that place, you don't get triggered so easily. You start making decisions with calm clarity instead of reacting out of fear or pride. The observer doesn't fight reality, he redirects it. That's power, capital P. Try this when life throws chaos your way. Pause. Don't respond right away. Feel your body, take a breath, and just notice what your mind is doing. Don't analyze it. Just observe. That tiny gap between thought and reaction is where the magic lives. In that silence, you find space to choose, and in that choice, you take back control of your life. No more autopilot. You become the pilot. The real shift happens when you stop needing the world to change in order to feel peace. You stop chasing solutions because you realize you are the solution. The silent observer is unshakable. He doesn't argue with the storm. He watches it pass. And as you start living from this still place, you'll notice that manifestation begins to work differently, almost as if silence itself creates reality. 4. Stillness and manifestation. Why silence creates reality. Here's the truth they don't tell you. Manifestation isn't about thinking harder, visualizing longer, or working yourself into burnout. It's about stillness. When your mind is still, you stop interfering with the flow of creation. You don't try to force things to happen, you allow them. Think of a calm lake. When the water is still, you can see clearly. But if it's full of waves, everything gets distorted. Your mind works the same way. The greatest manifestors don't operate from panic or pressure. They don't obsess over how or when. They align with the outcome, then they let go. Take Michael Jordan, for example. Before big games, he visualized with razor-sharp clarity, but he didn't overthink. He entered a zone of still presence. That's the zone where manifestation begins. Stillness aligns you with what's already yours. It tunes you into the frequency of power. Want to apply this? Instead of starting your day with your phone, start it with silence. Sit for 10 minutes with no agenda, no goals. Just be. You'll notice how your thoughts begin to settle, and suddenly you're not chasing life anymore. You're receiving. Desires start showing up, often in ways you didn't expect. You meet the right people, get the right opportunities, and it all feels effortless. That's not magic, it's alignment. And once you've tasted this way of living, it's hard to go back. Stillness doesn't just create peace. It creates results. It gives your manifestations room to land. The world might tell you to hustle harder, push more, but real power whispers something else. It says, stop, be still, listen, because the less noise you carry, the more you realize nobody can control you unless you let them. 5. Why stillness frees you from external control. Most people don't realize it, but they're being controlled 24/7. By headlines, by opinions, by whatever's trending. Their minds aren't free, they're rented out to whatever makes the most noise. But here's the twist, stillness cuts the strings. When a man becomes still inside, the world can scream and he won't flinch. That's real power. Not the kind that dominates others, but the kind that makes you unshakable. Imagine standing in a crowded marketplace, chaos everywhere, but inside you're calm, untouched. That's what silence does. It builds an inner fortress. Suddenly, someone's insult doesn't ruin your day. A bad headline doesn't hijack your peace. You stop being a puppet to noise. And with that inner silence, you don't just survive the world, you start shaping it. You become the one with presence, the one people look to. A great practice? Go one full day without consuming news or social media. Sounds simple, but it's harder than it looks. Notice how addicted the mind is to external input. Notice how silence makes space for something deeper to rise. Your own thoughts, your own truth. That's how you take your mind back. That's how you reclaim authority over your own awareness. And it all starts with a simple choice. Stop reacting. Once you stop feeding the distractions, your energy gets laser-focused. That's when manifestation accelerates. You're no longer scattering your power across 100 useless thoughts. You're channeling it. And in that channel, your real identity surfaces. Not the one the world gave you, but the one that's been there all along. Anchored, present, ready to step into a new kind of power that only silence can unlock. 6. The power of presence. How silence anchors you in the now. Let's get real. Most people aren't living in the present moment. They're either replaying old failures or worrying about what might go wrong tomorrow. But here's the thing. The past is gone, the future doesn't exist yet, and the only place where power is real is now. Silence is what pulls you back to this moment. It's the anchor that keeps your mind from drifting into nonsense. When the mind goes quiet, awareness sharpens. You start noticing things you usually miss, a breeze, a thought, a sudden insight. That's not just mindfulness fluff, it's access to higher intelligence. You move through life with intention instead of rushing and reacting. It's like switching from a blurry camera to one in perfect focus. That's the gift of presence, and silence is the way in. Try this. Next time you're eating, don't multitask. Don't scroll, don't rush. Just eat, taste it, chew slowly. You'll be shocked at how different life feels when you're actually in it. Presence isn't about sitting on a mountaintop humming all day. It's about showing up fully wherever you are. That's where God is. Not in some faraway heaven, but right here, in the silence of now. And once you get a taste of this presence, you'll realize how much power you've been leaking. All those anxious thoughts, all that mental noise, it's been stealing your energy. Silence gives it back. You stop operating on fear and start acting from knowing. And when you live from knowing, you don't chase, you create, not with force, but with stillness. The kind of stillness that transforms you into something else entirely. 7. Living as the silent creator, the ultimate transformation. Here's the ultimate twist. Life isn't happening to you. You're dreaming it. And the dream becomes real the moment you stop trying to control it through noise. The silent creator doesn't beg, complain, or wait for permission. He decides. His power isn't loud, it's subtle, precise, unshakable. That's why most never see it coming. They expect creation to be dramatic, but real manifestation is quiet and exact. Think of a great architect. He doesn't build by throwing bricks wildly. He sees the blueprint first. That's how the silent creator lives. Before action, he becomes the result. He is health before healing shows up. He is abundance before the money lands. He embodies the outcome, then lets reality match him. It's not fantasy, it's mechanics. Energy follows awareness, and awareness sharpens in silence. You want a real-world example? Start acting from the state you want, not from the problem you're trying to escape. Want peace? Then move like someone who already has it. No rush, no need to explain yourself, no chasing. Want success? Then show up daily as if it's already done, not pretending, embodying. And when your state aligns with what you want, life rearranges to reflect it. That's not ego, that's God through stillness. So here's where it gets wild. The less noise you carry, the faster things move. Not because you're doing more, but because you're finally out of your own way. Problems start solving themselves. People respond differently, and life feels oddly cooperative. This is the transformation Elio Dana was pointing to, living as the silent creator. And when you really step into that, everything changes, even the way you look at God, power, and who you truly are. If you want to elevate your vibrations and manifest with more ease, I have prepared something special for you. Click the link in the first pinned comment and join us in the journey of awakening your inner mage.